Greetings of the day, dear students. The next unit in Sanitation Microbiology is module number 2, Sources of Drinking Water, Single Dwelling and Municipal Water Supplies. So, in this particular unit, we are going to study the most important aspects in continuation with the environmental microbiology, which is aquatic microbiology, the drinking water sources, the major supplies, and the purification and the treatment process and the standards. Okay, so that are the major important aspects we are going to cover in this unit. And today's topics we are going to discuss sources of drinking water, single dwelling and municipal water supplies. So, as an introduction, water is one of the most essential commodity to live. Most of our planet or the earth, which is covered by water, but only a small amount it is available for the drinking purpose, and the earth is a watery place. So 70% of the earth is filled with the water, and that is why it is known as the blue planet. Okay, you can see the blue planet because the earth is fully composed of water. Approximately 97.2% of the water is considered as the ocean water or saline water. Only 2.8% is considered as the fresh water. So the water which is able to drink, it is only approximately 3%. And what are the major sources of water? The main sources of water that is used for the drinking, washing, agriculture and industry are classified into mainly 3 groups. One is surface water, next one is groundwater, next one is collected rain water. And we are going to deals mainly with the drinking water, and this drinking water which are the water that is used to drink and which are potable in nature, that should be possible to drink. And this water should be free from pathogenic microorganisms, free from harmful chemical parameters and especially the heavy metals. Then it is free from all the contaminants, and which should have a pleasure to taste, and that should be usable for the domestic purpose. So these are the major features or salient features expected from the potable water. And this picture indicate the major sources of drinking water. In one word you can see the river, the reservoirs, springs, pond, wells, stream, lake, etc. So these are the natural sources of the water. And when you are talking about the drinking water sources, the drinking water sources can be classified into 2 groups, the surface water and the ground water. The surface water that is mainly present in the surface of the earth, that comprises of stream, river, pond, lake and rainwater and impounded reservoirs, as you can see in the picture. Most of them are the surface water. And here the groundwater is the water that is obtained from the deep ground layer of the soil, and that is obtained by so many procedures, and such as the major sources are wells, springs, porous pipe galleries, infiltration galleries. So these are the major sources of drinking water. And first one we are going to discuss the surface water. The surface water which generally supply 64% of the public water for the use, which includes river, streams, lake and ponds, which are widely used as water sources, especially in the rural areas. The amount of surface water mainly depends on the rainfall. So when the rainfall is limited, the water supply will vary between wet and dry season and also between the years. So whenever the rain is less, the water content will be also will be varied. Then the most important methods for the preservation of this particular issue or preservation of the water is to construct a dam across the river or create certain reservoirs which provides water storage facility, and that can be used for the water. And the river water harvesting or rainwater harvesting is also very, very important. And the groundwater, which supplies the remaining 36% of the water. The main groundwaters are the water that is contained in the form of an aquifer. Okay, the major type of groundwater source are the water that is contained in the form of an aquifer. So what do you mean by an aquifer? An aquifer is an underground layer of water-bearing rocks. So the aquifer, it is a source of underground water, the water that is present in the layer of water-bearing rocks. The rock that consisting of lot of water in the underground of earth is known as aquifer. The water-bearing rocks are which are permeable. That means the liquids and gas can pass through it, and this is replenished or charged by the precipitation that percolates through the soil to the water table, and by the water seeping from streams and other water bodies from the surface water such as lake and wetland. Okay, so this aquifers which are the recharged by the precipitation that percolates through the soil to the water table, and by water seeping from streams and other water bodies such as lakes and wetlands. So these are the water body, that is aquifer. So here you can see a river, you can see a lake. Okay, so these are the rivers and lake, and what you can see here, this is certain wells. Okay, and here you can see the bedrocks, and these bedrocks are having the water content. So that is known as the aquifer. There are unconfined aquifer and confined aquifer. So the water that is confined below the clay, that is known as the confined aquifer, and the water that is present above the clay, that is unconfined aquifer. So this is the water table in which the source of water is mainly present, and these aquifers are the major source of ground water. And the water table is the top of the groundwater and below the sand surface. The top of the groundwater below the sand surface is known as water table. So its level fluctuates seasonably and from years to years as the input from precipitation and the input varies. Okay, so the depth of water tables varies with the location, from being near to the land surface in the areas close to the surface water bodies and in humid climate to being hundreds of meters below the land surface and in drier region. So the depth of the water table that will vary from the land surface to the drier region from the humid region. So the groundwater reaches the surface naturally through the springs or artificially through the wells. Okay, so the groundwater mainly reaches the surface mainly by springs or through wells. And the springs and wells are the major types of ground water. Okay, so the springs typically rise up where water tables meet the land surface. So the springs are important source of water to feed streams, food streams, and other attractive cultural landscape features in themselves. Okay, so the wells and boreholes are dug by hand or drilled by the machines. Okay, so this how the deep enough to extend below the water table so that the water can be drawn up by bucket or by pumping. Okay, so this is the another important aspects. So the next one is the rainwater. The rainwater is an important source of water, although the amount will be relatively small. The water vapors, as you all know, how the rains produce the water vapors condenses and return to the earth as precipitation, once again replenishing reservoirs like rivers and other sources of water. So major rain that enters the ground filters down into subsurface water bearing rocks, that is aquifer, and reaches the lake, streams and river where these surface water bodies intercept the aquifer. So the water, that is the ground, filters down into the subsurface water bearing rocks, that is known as aquifer, which are reaches to the lakes, streams, river, and these water bodies intercept the aquifers. So the water will be collected, and the rain from the roofs, the rainwater will be collected from roofs on other hard surfaces and storing, which is required and can provide valuable source for the water from many of the domestic purposes. And the next important topic is the water sources can be classified into two groups. One is single dwelling water supplies, and next one is municipal water supplies. So single dwelling water supplies are the water used for individual or home purpose. Okay, individual purpose or individual homes, that is known as the single dwelling water supplies. So these water supplies are mainly underground sources such as wells and springs. So the surface water should not be directly used until it is treated or unboiled to destroy any pathogenic microorganism. And the water from the wells and spring, which are filtered and which is precipitated through the layers of the soils, and which removes large amount of suspended particles and microorganisms. When choosing for a single dwelling water supplies, especially for a well, the contamination from pits, pipes, cesspools, septic tanks, and vineyards, etc. should be avoided. So you need to construct a well in a very adequate place where there is a high possibility of getting pure water supplies. So the water from home water supplies should be submitted for the laboratory for the lab examination periodically for the quality assurance and potability checking. Okay, so the water quality standards are very important for the usage in the single dwelling supplies. Then the major single dwelling supply I told you, springs and wells. As you can see, this is a spring. Okay, from the underground where it intersects, it is coming from the hole, and it is coming to the a particular river or streams, lake, etc. So a spring is a natural discharge point of subterranean water at the surface of the ground or directly into the bed of a stream, lake, or other water sources such as sea. Typically, this presents where the water tables intersect the land surface. So the water tables intersect the land surface, you will be able to get springs. Okay, so the spring can discharge fresh groundwater either into the ground surface, directly into the bed of rivers or streams, or directly into the ocean below the sea level. So the water that emerges at the surface without perceptible current is called seep. Okay, the water that emerges at the surface without the perceptible current, which is known as a seep. So these are springs. Next one, wells. This is another important sources of water for single dwelling supplies. You know that the wells are the major supply of water in our daily requirement or home. Okay, which are individual requirement. So what is a well? A water well is an excavation or structure created in the ground by digging or driving or boring or drilling to access the groundwater in underground aquifers. In the underground aquifers, by man-made activities like digging, driving, boring or drilling, etc. to perform to get the groundwater. A well is a human-made hole in the ground specifically used for accessing groundwater. So you know that it's a big hole that is made in the ground, especially used for the accessing the groundwater. The wells come in different shapes and size, but their use is generally the same, accessing the drinking water. So based on the nature of this particular wells, there are three types, and based on the nature of the wells are created. One is dug well, driven well and drilled well. First one, dug wells. Okay, so the dug wells are excavated by hand shovel to below the water table until incoming water exceeded in the digger's bailing rate. Okay, so this well was lined with the stones, bricks, tile or other material to prevent the collapse, and was covered with a cap of wood, stone or concrete tiles. So the dug wells have a large diameter and expose a large area to the aquifer, and this wells is able to get the water from less permeable materials such as very fine sand, slit or a clay. Here you can see the dug wells. A person is directly taking here, as I said, here is a very small very hole that is getting the groundwater by, then it is covered by stones and bricks. Okay, and that is in a round in shape, and here you can see this is created by digging the water into the deeper layer. From here you can see the pipe is used to get the water to the top. Okay, so this is known as dug wells. Next one is driven wells. Here you can see the picture of the driven wells. These are much more common today's society than dug wells because they are the wells that are created with a small pipe driven into the ground. Using a very huge pipe, and this pipe will be directly reached to the underground, and this will be the water will be taking from the underground. So this pipe has a filter over the bottom to keep out the sediment as possible, and that pipe is driven down into the ground until it reaches the water table. So this pipe will be deeply entered into the water table, and the water will be collected from there. Okay, and once the well is deep enough, all of the dirt is washed out of the inside of the pipe, and the pipe is installed so that the water can be removed from the well, and the pipe has a filter over the bottom, and the once the well is deep enough, all the dirt is washed out, and the pipe is installed, and the water can be taken from the underground, and that can be used for the domestic purpose. So that is known as driven wells. Next one is drilled well. These are the most modern wells are created by digging a hole in the ground with a machine and can be reached deeper into the ground than both the duct and the driven well. Here you can see there is a well head. The well is there is a long pipe is inserted to the deep aquifer, and here you can see the well screen and the filter pack, and here you can see clay and slate, okay, and the clays and other regions, and by using a very huge pipe, and these wells can be drilled more than 1,000 feet deep. As a well is drilled, steel casting is inserted into the hole. This casting secure 10 feet into the bedrocks. Here you can see the drilling will continue deeper and deeper into the bedrocks until an adequate supply of water is achieved. So these are the different types of ducts, the different types of wells, that is dug wells. Next one is driven wells and drilled wells. Next one is these are the two important sources, that is spring or the wells are the important source of single dwelling water supply. Then the next one is municipal water supply. This is the most important water storage system and water collection system nowadays that is happening in a locality where a municipality is existing. It is a public water supply system or water supply network which includes the water treatment facility, water storing facilities such as reservoir, water tanks and water tower, and a pipe network for distributing the treated water to the customers, which includes residential, industrial, commercial, institutional and other establishments. Okay, that is known as a municipal water supplies, which has a water treatment facilities, water storage facilities such as the reservoir, water tanks and water tower, and the water is distributed through the network of pipes from the treated site to the customers such as residents, industries and commercial and institutional purpose. The principal methods used for the municipal water purification supplies, that is used for the potable water, are sedimentation, filtration and chlorination. Sedimentation, filtration and chlorination. Sedimentation is the process which occurs in a large reservoir where the water remains for a holding period and the larger particulate material settled at the bottom of that particular reservoir. Then this sedimentation enhanced by the addition of alum, that is known as aluminium sulfate, which produces a sticky fluffy precipitate at the surface, and many microorganisms and finely suspended materials will be removed in this particular steps. Then those materials which are not removed from the sedimentation process will be undergoing the filtration, where water is passed through a sand filter buds which removes the other particulate materials that are already not removed from the sedimentation process. And finally the water then passed through a chlorination tank or halogenation process, where it will treat with the chlorine, which removes the microorganism. The chlorine is toxic for the microorganism, which removes the chlorines. Then this is the major procedure that is happening in municipal purification plant. This is the diagrammatic representation of the municipal water treatment plants. Okay, here you can see the water supply, the river, lakes or reservoir, that is the water is coming from this particular system, and you can see it is going to screening, preliminary screening, and that is the tank will be undergoing for chlorination, the pre-chlorination, the chlorination, the chlorine will be added, and it will go to the flocculation, okay, and this flocculation tank, there it will be checked for so many things, and it will go to the the settling tank or sedimentation tank, where you can see the large materials will be settled at the bottom, and the water will be, the particulate material settled at the bottom, and the water will be transferred to a filter where you will be having a sand filter, and after the sand filter most of the water impurities will be removed, then the water is again will be chlorinated, that is known as post chlorination, okay. And once the post chlorination is done, it will be checking for the aeration, the pH will be adjusted, and a fluoridation if required it will be given, and finally it will go for the it will supply of the municipal water, okay. So this is the overview of the municipal water supply. And when you are talking about the drinking water, the World Health Organization that given lot of guidelines what should be the quality control or standards that is used for the drinking water. So the color or the hardness should be standard, it is 5, 1 to 5. Then the taste and odor, that is unobjectionable. The turbidity, that is an NTU, that is 5. The pH 6.5 to 8.5. The total dissolved solid milligram per liter, it is 500. Total hardness milligram per liter, that is calcium carbonate, that is 300. The chlorides, chlorine, okay, milli per liter, that is 250. The sulfate, okay, mg per liter 200. Nitrates, okay, as nitrate milli per liter, mg per liter, that is 45. Fluoride as fluorine, mg per liter 1. Calcium as calcium, mg per liter, that is 75. The free residual chlorine such as the chloride, that is 0.2. Iron, that is Fe, okay, milligram per liter, that is 0.3. Manganese as Mn, mg per liter, that is 0.1. The total coliform, okay, their gram negative non-sporulating facultative bacteria, their presence indicating the pathogenic organism which should not be there in the water. So these are the WHO standards that is used for the drinking water. So that's all, dear students, for this particular class we can conclude. So we have discussed the introductory aspects about the water facilities in the earth. Then what are the major sources of water, especially the sources of drinking water, the surface water, the groundwater, and the rainwater which are collected. Then we have discussed the single dwelling water supplies and municipal water supplies. The single dwelling water supplies, they are mainly springs and wells. There are different types of wells: dug wells, driven wells, and drilled wells. The municipal water supplies, we have discussed the process, okay, the sedimentation, then the filtration and the chlorination. Then the procedure for the municipal water purification plant, the pre-chlorination, the flocculation, then you can see the sedimentation, then filtration and the chlorination, the final chlorination, and finally you will be getting the water. And this water should have the certain features that is set by the WHO for the drinking water quality. So that's all, dear students, for this particular topics. So you can refer Principles of Microbiology by Pelzar for the detailed aspects. So these are the other books. So thank you very much for watching this particular class, dear students. If you are having any doubts, you can ask me. Thank you very much.